Today, we're diving into a psychology topic that is going to hit many of you harder than being called to the board during a surprise math test. We're talking about growing up too fast, or, to use the clinical terms, parentification or the child who grew up too fast syndrome. If you were once a gifted child who still carries silent trauma responses, consider this an exclusive brain scan tailored just for you. As you well know, everything comes with a price. If this video hits massive engagement, I promise to do a follow-up on healing childhood trauma and restructuring these prematurely ripened brains. And a promise is a promise, because neuroscience explains that your brain deserves to be understood, not squeezed dry and discarded like the rumored fate of child stars once their Disney Channel glory days are over. We have this incredibly toxic obsession with the golden child archetype. You know the drill. Look at the kid next door, only 8 years old and already making their own breakfast, walking to school alone, and never bothering their parents. Parents look on and nod in approval. Now, that's a dream child. But through the lens of psychology, or to put it bluntly, through the MindFix lens, this is a severe case of overclocking a developing brain. Psychology says, behind every overly well-behaved child is often an operating system running at maximum capacity, just to survive a home where the parent's vibe fluctuates more than Elon Musk's stock prices on X. Science confirms this isn't natural maturity. It is an adaptive survival mechanism utilized by brains with elite-level IQ and EQ. So, the real question here is, what kind of superpowers is that supercomputer in your head actually running? The ones you've spent years mistaking for a system glitch. Let's do a quick vibe check to see how many of these signs you've unlocked. Let's get straight to it. First up, we have to talk about your absolutely elite survival skill. The ability to vibe check an entire house in a split second. You only need to step 1 foot through the door to know instantly if today is a chill day or a war day. Just a slight twitch of your father's eyebrow or the way your mother sets her Starbucks coffee on the table a little too hard, and the radar in your head automatically starts crunching the numbers. Abort mission. This is a tough one. Red flags everywhere. Better go invisible or play the NPC non-player character to stay safe. Psychology calls this hyper-vigilance. Usually, CIA special ops agents are the ones using this in war zones. But you were using it in your own living room just to keep the peace. I swear, I often wonder why adults think kids are clueless. In reality, you were sharper than Sherlock Holmes. You weren't just overthinking, you were a natural-born strategist. Your brain possesses incredible pattern recognition. You could read facial micro-expressions faster than you could breeze through the SATs. While everyone else is dropping stacks of cash on high-level communication courses, you already graduated from the School of Hard Knocks with a Master of Survival degree, summa cum laude. Next up, let's check if you've ever felt like an old soul accidentally dropped into a server full of noobs. Have you ever felt totally out of place? Like you were misspawned into a group of mindless peers, while your friends were screaming over some viral TikTok trend or grinding Fortnite to rank up. You were sitting there, wondering why the Netflix bill went up this month, or strategizing how to mediate the Cold War between your parents. You felt like a full-blown mini-adult. Psychology calls this cognitive disconnect. Growing up too fast essentially upgraded your cognitive frequency to a pro-max level. This made typical childhood hobbies feel somewhat cringe and bland. Let's be real. Back then, you weren't weird, you were just running the latest macOS on a vintage computer from a bygone era. You were like a character from a Christopher Nolan film who got lost in a Disney cartoon meant for toddlers. Looking at other kids playing in the mud, you could only sigh, "Oh, what a total waste of temporal resources." The third sign is that self-made operating system that makes you pathologically allergic to asking for help. The phrase "I can do it myself" isn't just a sentence, it's your creed, your personal religion. No matter how tough the task or how much of a dumpster fire the situation becomes, you'll struggle through it on your own rather than opening your mouth to ask for a hand. Why? Because since you were a kid, life slapped you with a bitter Wolf of Wall Street style lesson. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and in this world, there is nothing reliable except yourself. You've always been the pillar for everyone else. So the concept of having a shoulder to lean on was deleted from your dictionary long ago. Psychology calls this hyper-independence. It sounds badass, like being Batman, the cool, lone hero, but in reality, it's a defensive shield to keep you from getting hurt. However, looking at the big picture, you're an incredibly elite, self-sufficient operating system. Your risk management skills are CEO level. You don't need anyone to co-sign for you because you're already the capitalist mogul managing your own life. The fourth sign is what we call a real game changer, and not necessarily in a good way. You basically became the involuntary HR director of your own family. You weren't just a child, you were the emotional babysitter standing in the crossfire of adult civil wars. While your peers were busy watching the Disney Channel, you were busy checking the variables, scanning to see if your dad was coming home tilted from work stress so you could soothe him, or listening to your mom vent as if you were a PhD-level therapist. Even though you were still in elementary school, psychology calls this parentification. To put it bluntly, roles were reversed. The child ended up parenting the parents. I swear, this deal is fundamentally broken. It's like hiring an unpaid intern to run a Fortune 500 company and then blaming them the second the stock price dips. But because of this hellish experience, you now possess crisis management skills that are absolutely top tier. You can keep a system on the brink of collapse running smoothly, simply because you've been trained since birth to make sure the world around you doesn't hit a game over. That's actually pretty legendary. The fifth sign is a hardcore addiction to the grind set that makes you feel irrationally guilty every time you try to relax. It's like the moment you sit down to watch Netflix for 15 minutes. A voice in your head starts screaming, "What the hell are you doing? Why aren't you doing something productive? Why aren't you upskilling so you can finally level up your life?" Your brain is hardwired into a state of productivity guilt. Because since you were a kid, your worth was strictly tied to what you achieved for the family. You had to be well-behaved, crush the chores, and bring home straight A's just to be eligible for love. Essentially, your relaxation circuit is completely fried. But looking at the MindFix silver lining, this is the exact drive found in real-life sharks. You are absolute beasts in the workplace. You simply don't know how to quit. Once you learn how to recharge without the side of guilt, you'll be straight up legendary. You won't just be playing the game, you'll be dominating it. The sixth sign is that your radar specifically scans for and attracts project people like a high-powered magnet. Go ahead and check VAR your list of exes or your inner circle. Are they mostly projects? We're talking about cases that are tough as nails, people with deep-seated trauma, broken souls, or basically anyone whose spirit needs to be pieced back together before they can function. You are unconsciously playing the white knight, or what the pros call the savior complex. Since you mastered the skill of fixing adult emotions as a kid, you now find it incredibly addictive and comfortable to be around people who need saving. I know you're thinking about those toxic relationship dramas or the messy NTR plotlines all over the internet, but the reality is just your brain's operating system scanning for a familiar signal to run those master tier skills you've spent a lifetime honing. Your empathy is actually a superpower. It's as durable as Captain America's shield when it comes to protecting the vulnerable. But remember, don't get so busy saving the world that you end up burned out with absolutely nothing left for yourself. That would be a total waste of your legendary potential. And don't forget that tanker ability to absorb pressure, making you look like John Wick in a hail of bullets. That's sign number 7. While everyone else is panicking and screaming over missed deadlines or random acts of God, you're just sitting there, calmly sipping a latte and handling business with the cold efficiency of John Wick looking for his car. People might look at you and call you clueless, a robot, or cold-blooded. Your brain has been checking the variables of sky-high cortisol, the stress hormone, since you were a little adult. The technical term for this is allostatic load. Put simply, your pressure tolerance threshold has been pushed to God mode. Modern office drama or life's current pressures are just easy mode, compared to the high-stakes mental combat you survived during your accelerated growth phase back in the day. You are a true tanker, the last one standing in every boss fight life throws at you. Absolutely legendary. And finally, we have that VIP pass to the adults table that you've held since you were 10 years old. I've always wondered, why weren't you out playing hide and seek or dodgeball to match that childhood vibe? Instead, you preferred hanging out at the adults table, eavesdropping on uncles and aunts discussing the global economy or inflation as if you were about to become a CEO yourself. You found talking to the big players way more addictive than dealing with the bratty kids screaming outside. This is what we call intellectual maturity. In reality, you didn't actually miss out on your childhood. You just hit the skip button on the tutorial to go straight to the endgame boss fight. You possess that main character wisdom that others have to spend years struggling in the real world to acquire. You're just built different. To wrap things up, if you found yourself checking off all 8 signs, then it's a done deal. You are a certified little adult of the 21st century. Don't just sit there blaming yourself or mourning the carefree childhood other kids had. Because the truth is, there's no system glitch here. You're simply a premium early access build, pre-installed with a suite of high-end genius features before you even knew how to file taxes. The price tag might have been a bit steep, but in exchange, you got a top-tier brain and a built-different grit that you couldn't get even if you dropped billions on an Ivy League education. Stop looking at this premature maturity as a burden and start seeing it as the superpower you need to master your own life. So, after this vibe check, what's your score? Don't go ghosting like a Reddit clone account. Drop your number in the comments right here. Right now, if this video was a banger, gets high view, and you guys show some love in the comments. I promise I'll drop a sequel on reparenting. The art of raising your own inner child. It's time to learn how to maintain that elite adult wisdom while reclaiming the genuine peace of a child. Don't forget to subscribe to MindFix so you don't miss out on important updates for your brain. Welcome to the community of the brilliant but misplaced. I am Dylan, and this is MindFix. Peace out.